Hello. I'm very sleepy. But we're gonna do Baldur's Gate today. I've just been fiddling, sorting my inventory a little bitty. Should probably use more of this stuff. I mean, I know you can't see it, but I'm just thinking. Yeah, I'm very tired. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do. Whoa, no start replay buffer. That's not what I wanted. Capture the game. I don't know. I'm kinda playing in my ear. I'm also waiting on a phone call, which I'm doubting I'm gonna get today, which is really annoying because I hate anticipating phone calls as is, and I've been doing it all day, and now I'm gonna have to do it all day tomorrow. I didn't get anything productive. I mean, I guess I edited for like 20-30 minutes, but like, it was not a productive day. But yeah, we're gonna play Baldur's Gate with William, as we do. Maybe I'll play Warframe, but it's a big maybe, because I don't know. I gotta order medication, and I kinda just wanna eat and sleep, but we'll see. I don't know. Anything else? Anything administrative needing to be updated? I don't think so. The thing that annoys me is I know I'm gonna try to sleep, and I'm gonna sleep for like an hour. I just need my brain to calm down. My head's fuzzy. Last Baldur's Gate stream, we killed a lot of rats. Told the guy he was gonna get murdered. Oh my god. I can't believe it's the 15th. It feels so bad to be working on a video that's like my 2023 video. That'll be like a month and a half into the year. I'm like, fuck. I also noticed that I have like the edge of my carpet. I was sitting on the floor earlier because I was existentially dreading existing. And I noticed there's a seam of cold air pouring through the carpet. And I don't know what to do about that. I was gonna look it up, but I don't want to. That's not true. I just feel like shit today. Yeah. We're gonna play Baldur's Gate. Cello.
Balls.
What? Why are you drinking Potion of Greater Healing?
It's delicious.
I really can't taste that. I mean, look at the stuff you have to put in it to make it. Alright.
Poop?
I don't know, you make the potions. Not enough,
Poop?
might I add. This guy's got 102 alchemy ingredients. Hello? Discord? Did you hear anything I just said?
Yeah.
My Discord just made the sound it makes when it starts. So I thought I disconnected. I don't know what just happened. That was weird. Skibbity, bibbity, hibbity, yibbity, dibbity, dibbity, sabbity, subbity.
Put your pickles away.
Move, bitch. Put your pickle away. Put your pickle away, bitch. Put your pickle away. I want to just hit a shop quick. I don't know if there's one near us, though.
I'd fart.
I guess we don't need to rush. I mean, I can hold a lot. I got big beefy arms. And a
I
big
kind of want to go to.
beef. I thought we were going to the Night Song, Lorcan.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm ready if you are.
Promised at least 100 more watches before the war.
What do we do? There's a pouch in the middle of the road with 2 daggers in it. Oh, this is where we fought the Funky Five and the French freaks.
The weekend.
I was talking to, well, no, there's no one here, but I was talking and, earlier I noticed that there's like a seam of cold air coming in through the carpet. Is there anything I can do about that? Oh. It's like right on the edge where it touches the wall. Like right under where we put the, where we put the drywall in. I don't know, there's like a carpet thing I can do, I don't know.
Oh,
It's very cold.
I don't think so. Are you sure it's from there, or is it from?
I felt the air.
Yeah, but did you?
It's like right. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but it's like there's like a seam. Did you just cast something on? What the hell? Cat?
Fuck.
Do we talk to these people? Actually, you should talk. You're the wizard. Flex on them. Shoot a fireball at all of them. I thought this would be like a show we could like watch. Are we just interrupting?
Great, isn't it? These are just cantrips. I can keep this up all day.
Okay.
Okay.
They're just having a show. Alright. Hey, Ma Festina.
Just look at her. She hasn't been this excited since her birthday.
I'm glad for your child. Zerillo?
Hello, Clank.
Be a great wizard and wade through my enemies.
Oh,
with
true.
spells of fire and blood, mostly fire.
This kid wants blood magic. Hello, Clank. It's not the Clank I know. Not my Clank.
Armor is a construct animated by powerful magic. It has no soul or power of speech, but it follows the directives.
I don't remember
of
this
its
wizard
master.
asking.
It
I don't
feels
remember
no
this.
pain and knows no morality.
Oh, okay.
It will act on behalf of its master and perish when the magic that binds it is severed.
Why don't we have a bunch of those guys working for us? Hilo. Gersh. So true. Turk.
True.
I do not speak Spanish. Hablo Inglacio?
Pickle boy?
Do you know Pickled Rick? He's very funny.
Why is this guy so
I am an
purple?
unperson in service of the revered wizard Lorocan.
I'm an unperson?
Fine establishment.
Elaborate on unperson.
To browse our wares, say trade.
Oh, he's like an automated
For
voice
information about
message.
the night song, say night song. If you are a city official here to collect dues, say taxes.
This is so weird.
For all other inquiries, say other. The provision of information that leads to the retrieval of the night song is worth a great deal to Master Lorocan. Do you have information
This is
regarding
meant for
the
a
night song?
damn phone. I changed my fucking mind.
Please proceed upstairs for further instructions.
What is that?
Thank you.
Someone's taking
Please
a
come again
magic
soon
diarrhea.
and have a magical day.
But what do you have for sale?
Welcome back to Sorceress Sundries.
Sorceress Sundries. Oh god.
What? I'm just so sick of it all. I saw somebody go up to Lorocan's tower last 10 day. Looked a proper fright when he came in.
Oh my god.
Hello.
there's not much left. Looks like folks heard the Absolute was on the march.
Damn,
and bought
Fiona.
everything that wasn't nailed down.
Fiona kind of bad.
Yeah?
Like Shrek from the movie Shrek. She looks like Fiona.
Where is the famous Loroakan? His shop is a nutter shambles.
That's Fiona.
What?
Oh.
Sorry? There's a mind flayer parasite specimen?
Specimen?
Why is that here? It seems like it could only go wrong. Am I allowed to just take this? Okay. I mean, y'all don't want it. A copy of Songs of the Wind by the wizard Elminster. This edition is not annotated at all and old enough that it might be part of the originally printed set. Damn, they got the OG? Or perhaps just a compelling reproduction. He recalls the magical school of Windsong Tower in the elven city of Myth-Dranor. One section of Recollections has this for an opening. There's a pergola that lecturers gather under at the winter time ball. It's a song, I think. It's called Songs of the Wind. It must be. Someone gets a block of oak wood from the great bough of Windsong. And they all pose as the block fetchers sculpt the image into the wood using a transmutation spell. This little ritual is so bleakly funny, I can barely recall it without feeling like I need to wash my mouth out with lime juice. Anyway, the lecturers talk turkey, paying special attention to the body language of the people around them, because they are not simply colleagues, they are also rivals in the strictest sense of the word. There's no such thing as a lecturer without their foot in the competitive stirrup. They're jockeying a lot, and the way they view the world outside their tenure and status is a tantamount to the way they view students, something to be tolerated and molded in the warm clay of their fantastic brains. Projected, then sculpted like images in oak wood, I would know. I was the one taking the picture. So these people suck is what you're saying to me. You found any cool magical doodads for your magical doodadery?
There's some stuff in here, but I'm a poor ass bitch.
You have all our money.
Mm-hmm.
I have 1 gold. I mean, I could sell stuff and see where it gets me. Oh my god, lava elemental, water. Oh, this place is kind of a mess.
Big Clive?
Have you seen how much the prices have risen? Might as well be throwing my gold straight
big
into the lava element.
Clive?
Sounds like this place is coming down on some hard times.
I want a pet elemental, but Mumbus says I
Mumbus?
I wouldn't let it die like the goldfish, though.
You call your mum, is that Mumbus? Alright, theory, this place is falling apart financially, which is why they have people doing magic outside. They're trying to do some busking. Make some cash.
Welcome.
Everything seems a little messed up here.
dollars.
If you are a city official,
Trade me.
what will it be?
What will it be? Okay, well, my wares are worth 3,100, so you're too broke for me? Ugh, okay. So you're broke for me. I got a couple hundred bitches getting woke with me.
Yeah.
Shut up. Do you have anything you wanted?
I
can do some trade.
I think it's the shirt.
This shirt. Like the purple one? Armor of Landfall? You want? Oh, you got the spell. Okay. Or wait, there's 2 purple ones. The Vest of Soul Rejuvenation or the Armor of... No, you don't want armor. You want clothing.
Right.
Okay, so that's... How is everything like? I feel like there's a bartering skill I just forgot to invest in any capacity.
It's probably charisma. Maybe give it to Shadowheart.
Okay, wait, can I just cancel?
Never mind. We're all bad at charisma. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, maybe that's
Actually, I'm the best one. Oh my god.
well. Let's test. Okay, so yeah, oh yeah, no, it's charisma influences trade prices. Said right there. Well, shart on a log.
I only have 2 more points in it.
What if I give you cat mode? Where is it?
What?
Like I can give you charisma. Not a lot. I can give you 2. Oh wait, can I? Intelligence, wisdom, oh charisma. What if I just like give you this? What's the price looking like now? I just want to know if that made a difference at all.
Like a little.
Wonder if having proficiency in it matters too. That explains our money woes. We're money hoes.
Well.
Alright, well, here, I'll send you all my wares since
I can buy the hat and get 2 charisma.
I'll send you all my wares and then you can just sell them because we'll get a little more. Yeah, I know you'll be too heavy, but it's fine because you're selling them. Your carrying capacity is exceeded, I've just noticed. Where did the items I gave you even go?
I put them in.
Oh. But you didn't actually sell them yet?
No.
Okay. Well, I can't send you anything else, so you'll have to first. Or, you know, make whatever trade. I mean, you could sell some of your scrolls. Your carrying capacity still exceeded?
Stop being unhappy with this trade.
Trading is hard, man. Why can't we just be rich as shit?
Take a shit on the rich.
Why can't I just fart? What up, Big Clive? How are you?
Me, can't stop.
Okay, he's not in a good.
Time left before the absolute breaches the city.
Alright, he's having a terrible day. He's very stressed out.
Yeah.
Turn in won't. Frog. Who is making this animal switch up? Is he doing it himself? They don't have any real. They're cutting costs on the employees as well. They got the fake guy at the desk. They got conjured armors. They don't have any real employees.
Stop refusing my offer. Oh my god, this guy's a bitch. It's $56. Take it. Oh my god, fine.
Your charisma's not sicky with it. I'm sorry to say. You just ain't charismatic enough. God, it is cold in here today. And the weather is pretty. Oh, it's actually better now. Weather was real bad earlier. Very stormy. Or blizzardy, I guess. Is it still a storm if it's snow? I don't know. Does it matter? No. Shut up. Stop talking. What?
I gotta sell this shirt. I look awful. Alright, did you have more wares or?
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff, but is it control click? My inventory got kind of messed up. Wait, are these my pants? Wait, I can't get rid of my pants. They're my pants.
My pantaloons.
Those can just stay in there. Sorry, one sec. I think that's everything. Oh wait, also this. Okay. Try to look through all the books I have and just sell them. What the music here? It's like I'm playing Harry Potter on the Xbox 360.
Huggy Warts! Huggy Warts!
What's that?
Oh,
Welcome, dear patron.
thank you.
To the floor at the top of the stairs.
Oh, I didn't notice you were done.
Welcome back to
Trade.
feast your eyes.
Sell everything. I don't know, I just never use spells. Maybe I should just sell these. But I don't know, I like having the option in case things get...
What the fuck?
What happened? Oh. What happened? What was our quest update?
The Night Song is an ancient potion that allows its drinker to become irresistibly attractive to man and god alike.
Incorrect. We had to go in the portal, that's correct?
Yeah. Because he said, if you have information about the Night Song, then big rich. But if you're here to waste Lorelkin's time, don't bother.
Its bearer command over an army of ancient beasts.
Not correct. I can't read these. Sometimes I just can't read shit.
I can't read.
The Night Song is an immortal being. Child
That
of
is
a
correct.
deity.
Talk to him again.
Let your knowledge deter.
Guess we just go in.
Why, you dead?
Why? What? I went in the right one. Why are we both dead?
What?
Everything's going dark.
Huh?
I won't go.
There is work to do. We've got to keep moving.
Game, I don't know if you noticed, but we went in the right portal, actually. What?
I have a scroll.
No, it's fine. I have a free rest. I don't understand.
What?
Why are they mad at us?
Magic too close to him.
We went in the right portal!
Fuck off, let me in.
Banned. We stepped through the wrong portal. No, we didn't!
What's cooking?
What are you talking about?
What?
I kinda want to reload because I feel like we just got scammed. The Night Song is an immortal being, child of a deity. What's the fucking problem? I'm so confused. I don't know, it's up to you. I feel like we should reload, because that seemed not right.
Yeah, we can reload.
Huh?
I don't understand. What the hell?
What? I'm pretty sure Carlick said something like, "Let's go, fucker," before she did that.
She wanted this.
She's kind of evil to me.
She's kind of a bad bitch.
Well, that one goes without saying. Let's be bad.
Made of
Ask a
onion
homeless guy
powder.
for money. That's not how anything is made.
Could be.
So I guess the clinic's just not gonna call me back today. That's fucking awesome, man. I love that for me, man. Beep. I love waiting all day for a phone call. It doesn't stress me out and ruin my whole day or anything. Ha ha ha.
Oh.
All right. Oh, my inventory's gonna be unsorted now. Whatever, it didn't matter that much. Okay, I don't need this. That sounds useful. Also sounds useful. 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 Eh. I don't know if that one's useful. Yeah. Alright, well. I don't really understand. These all just sitting
Hello.
Yeah, can you send me all your fucking wares again?
Are you in position already?
I'm trading. Yeah.
Just didn't want to send you anything if you, because you probably can't move. Gonna talk to everyone again in case it, I don't
There's
know,
not much.
matters.
Was that all?
There's a few daggers. Where's the money?
I won.
Apparently, Loroakan can.
Stinky poo poo house.
And I'm wrong. Where have Jeremy and his mother
Bang, 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 ba-da-dum. Permanent.
Trying to remember what I even sold.
It's fine. I'm just thinking.
My faith will guide me.
So many spells. I wonder if this is any good. I'm not really good at hitting these, like, mental moves, though. But maybe I should. I mean, I do. She uses wisdom-y, I think. I mean, big wisdom.
My girl got that wisdom.
She got the big wizard. Shadowheart's like really into me, and Lizelle likes me more than you? What have you been doing? This guy's got no game.
It's not my fault, I swear.
I can't even talk to her and she likes me more. It doesn't even make sense that you're that bad at spitting game. You should be ashamed of yourself for that. You suck.
You're kind of mean.
I was kidding, dude.
No.
I'm just joking. You can't take a joke?
No.
It's like literally the worst type of person. I'm an asshole, so it was a joke. Oh, you didn't like what I said? It was a joke. Oh, you did? I'm very funny and I meant it.
Hmm.
Well, pardon me. Little horse fella.
Hmm. Little bitch.
Pardon me.
What's your favorite part about an onion?
There aren't that many parts to an onion.
What?
What do you mean?
Have I been lied to?
Oh, I didn't know Shadowheart was an half-elf. Should I have known that?
Shadowfart.
That's still funny every time.
Right?
Good.
Oh, that, yep, just
I
look
was
at their
just
ears for the
starting to
first
miss
time.
the sound of your voice.
Didn't even notice that. I was too busy looking at her boobs. No,
Her big juicy clitoris.
Yeah, oh. I'm gonna have to kill her.
I'm gonna put her in a sock and beat her.
That was also.
Make yourself useful.
How is it taking so long for you to shop this time?
I don't know. I don't know where I am.
That's cool.
I'm still 130 short, man. What else do you want me to sell? My guns?
I mean, I didn't give you the charisma buff this time. I could give it to you again. I just figured it wouldn't make enough of a difference. Hopefully that will
Try.
work
I don't know
for
if
you.
it'll make a difference here.
No.
That's funny.
Just give it to me, you big bitch!
You can sell this book. Skibbity dibbity yibbity hibbity wibbity flibbity.
Oh, skippity doo! Poop on my shoe!
I love Eminem.
Give that spawn camper the business.
Pardon me. My gear's not very good. I'm like green and blue. Sorry?
I didn't talk to him about the night song thing. Why is there a frog?
This is just an animal walking around. That's a magic diarrhea noise you keep hearing. Okay, now we save. I don't really understand. Maybe it's because you had to. No, because you went in after me and it's still broke.
Welcome, dear patron, to the floor.
Hello.
If you have information about the night song, great riches await. If you are here to waste the, let your knowledge.
The night song is an immortal
Well,
being.
what's the last one, I
child of
guess?
a deity.
Like, I don't understand.
The night song is an
Oh!
immortal being, the child of a deity.
I read this one, but I was looking at this one.
The night song is a priceless
Oh!
from a realm beyond our own.
What? How did that happen?
Alright.
I also clicked on that one and I don't know. That's really weird. Who the hell Ramazith? Oh, what is going on here?
So this is the guy casting the spell for the
Yo,
front.
I don't like where this is going. That's a big ass apple. I guess that's a little ass man.
Hold very still, Nicklaw. Crank's aim is much improved, but still leaves something up to chance.
Yes, sir.
This is definitely employing the abuse.
Ready? Aim.
Oh, I hate this clothes.
We have a visitor. At ease. Nicklaw, you may go.
Oh, he's just ate it.
I see no night song. Surely you wouldn't have entered my
This
tower
guy's
without the night song
pump
in
his
hand.
ass immediately.
Surely you wouldn't have wasted my time.
In the hand? Yeah, I would like to know what the fuck it was.
Fascinating. You've been.
She's a woman. I've heard of a woman.
To the Shadowfell. Alas, I've paid for a good deal of very privileged information.
Yeah, don't look at me like that.
What
What is going on?
This contract I've commissioned.
Macaroni in a pot, that's a wet ass
Or see
sound.
what happens when fools misuse.
Sorry, I had a big shit this morning and they're trying to unclog it.
I'm still shitting, actually. I left an unperson there to finish up.
What did he say?
We can look at the. You can look at the history. I pay for a good deal of very privileged information. Now I await the results of the generous contract I've commissioned. Answer now or see what happens when fools misuse my valuable time.
Uh,
I would kind of like to know why she wants her so badly.
yeah.
I'm growing tired of this repartee, my friend. Let us cut to the chase.
Yeah, agreed. Answer the fucking question.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Is that an arrow?
Worth more than your life, too. I bought it from a Kalashite warlock. There's very little of his soul left to him. It can bind a celestial to the wearer's service.
Alright, so no.
Snap of the
Immediately
fingers.
no.
And this? This can keep her in
Nope.
place
Not happening at all.
forever.
This guy, what is with these people?
Get out of my face! I'm in his tower.
Yeah, that doesn't really work.
We could say we left her. Or killed her.
I mean, we don't have to lie. We could just tell him no. I was thinking two, but I don't know. I want to. I'm kind of glean more information out of this little psychopath.
There's just not like a no option.
Well, I feel like we can
It
get
didn't
there.
work out for poor Ketherick, did it? He was a fool. A desperate mercenary who poured out his soul to whichever god flattered him. I serve no god, but that which stares back at me in the mirror. The Night Song will be put to a grand purpose, equalizing man and god. Whoever helps me attain that which I seek will be greatly rewarded. Of course not. But perhaps, after enough lifetimes, I might make a start of
This
it.
guy's a bag of shit. Okay, well, I guess we can't just say no, then.
I feel like it would take a lot of convincing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's up to you.
This was so bad.
Alright. Got him.
Easy now.
Dead? That cannot be. It is immortal. A god.
Not anymore.
Don't know what you've done, and you never will.
What a little baby.
It is interacting with inferior minds and their vulgar
Was that?
motivations. Leave me to my ruminations.
This guy's a rat bastard. The fuck? Oh, I see what the fight here would have been. This guy's a rat, duh.
You'll bring him the night song, won't you?
No.
Absolutely
No, I won't.
not.
But you know, what are the chances he doesn't look for a new one?
Look, we're not gonna fight him with that impetus.
What?
Oh, we're very high up. Oh, that put a little feeling in my stomach seeing that. Oh no. That kinda sucked.
Your terrible tidings have cost me everything. My brat. This always happens to
Oh
me.
my god, he's such a baby!
It's always happened to me. Yeah, just the same thing. Clank, stop shooting arrows at the fucking dwarf, man.
This place sucks. Guess we have to talk to her about it for the quest. Or we just pop over to camp quick and do that. There. Let me handle this one. Me and her got rapport. We're homies like that.
We're gonna have a threesome.
No. Maybe a little one. I don't know.
Mother's milk, your visage speaks of ill tidings.
What
Speak,
the
or
hell?
my mine. What troubles you?
Did you just call me a MILF? There's a freak looking for you?
Is he indeed? Pray tell, what does he seek from Dame Aelin?
Well, that's not true. I know. I guess.
Magicians and their machinations. I have had enough
Alright.
for an eternity.
Yeah, that's good.
I will wring his neck.
Whoa, well, damn. I
until
was.
he's dead.
No, that's. I deceived him into thinking you're dead.
The weasel out-weaseled. Well done,
Yeah,
my
no, I mean,
friend.
he's a rat bastard. Don't get it twisted up, just
But
like him.
Dame Aelin's deeds are great. Her presence, present. Sooner or later, he will discover that the
I mean, that's
daughter
fair.
of Seluna lives. Let us travel to his chambers, his lair. We will see him undone, in the style of the dead, unburied Ketheric Thorm.
I'm coming with you. I'd like to get a few licks in myself.
My darling, we agreed you'd scout for the nearest Selunite enclave this very night. Let us divide our efforts, all the sooner to be reunited.
I won't let you go alone. Who knows what this wizard might have planned?
Our closest ally will accompany me, won't you? It will be a swift and fruitful chore. Hie we to this Leroican right away. I am as eager to meet him as he is to ensnare me.
Wait, we're going like now? Wait.
Yep.
Wait, where are you going? Okay.
How do I get out of here?
Okay.
Guess we're going back.
Probably a good time for a save.
A snack?
Probably a good time for a delicious snack. Wait! Right there!
What's next?
Come on,
Let's pull his organs out.
What have we here? A magician in a tower, hiding away from the frightening world.
She forgot to open her mouth for that. She's killing.
She's got telepathy.
Not the night song, surely. Why, she's nothing but a relic to be purchased and pursued.
By my honor, it's you. My dear, I thought you were.
You will address me with due deference. I am Dame Aelin, and you are a whelp without honor, without pride, with nothing but a tower full of trinkets.
My apologies, Dame Aelin. I meant no
I
disrespect.
was only gonna eat your soul for 100
We could
centuries.
start over. I am Leroican. I am most pleased to make your acquaintance. And that of your fine companion, who
God, she's hot.
heard I was looking for you.
Hello.
Explain why.
Dame Aelin, I have discovered a device that would allow your immortality to be shared. It would cause you no harm, no pain of any kind. You serve your mother Seluna, I believe. She who has blessed our realm with so many gifts. Honor
This
her.
guy's fucking pathetic. Oh my god.
You do not seek to share my gifts. You seek to poach them. You dare to threaten me with the same magic that held me in torment for 100 years.
I had hoped to appeal to your better nature. Perhaps I overestimated you. No bother. I have an arsenal of implements capable of convincing you to see reason.
A man named Kethler Thorn already tried stealing Night Song's immortality. He's dead now.
But his magic lives. I'd hoped you to keep an open mind, but it seems you're determined to make this as difficult as possible.
Man, you got the banana peel staff. You think I'm afraid of you?
I have great plans for you, Dame Aelin. And if you will not go quietly, then you'll go kicking and screaming.
Magicians and their plans for Dame Aelin. Predictable, sadistic, flaccid.
Damn. Your wiener's not hard.
Imperatum!
This loser got a soft dick.
Soft dick having ass. Oh, hello. I'm sorry. Wow. I pressed the wrong button.
Shorty really is like a melody in my damn head. What? The elf man's helping him? He's level 1.
Oh no.
High defense, huh?
Okay, so all the Meridians are giving him resistances.
Oh. Yeah, I'll take it. What's the air one? Is the air one weak to anything? Yeah. Why can't I examine you? Why can't I examine you? Okay.
No, I think they're all about the same.
Bleeding. Yes, that makes sense. The man's a motherfucking cloud. Can't get past anybody. Hey, stop that.
Chicken.
Oh, that's not good.
Ah! I hate it here.
Whoop, getting their damn hams strong.
Take you. Talk to me.
Okay.
Motherfucker.
Can you just like not examine these things? Muck to metal? Oh.
I can.
For some reason my exam is not working.
Hello? I'm just gonna take a drink.
Let me examine, man. I wanna read about ya. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight broker.
Hopefully no one comes up.
Oh, he deserved better. He really did. Why did he help him? Holy shit.
No,
There's
leave
no way
me
this
alone.
freak can climb a damn ladder. What the?
Come on, man. Leave. Leave.
He can't get past it. Christopher Colombo.
I think we need to spread out.
Consider my ass spread. Oh.
Oh.
She's alright.
Ow. Why do you like to hurt me?
Damn, that bitch dead. She did get the donkey, the donkey, the yak. No, why are you out of sight, man? When did she come back?
I don't know. She didn't seem to be coming back.
She's just cold. Yeah, I don't
Before
know.
she could be revived.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned at the moment. Ow! What the fuck was that?
Ouchie.
Why don't you never do that to people?
Because I'm not God.
He's just a Lorokan. Damn. The moon mode go crazy. She was fucking hyper folded. Damn! Oh, he literally just folded. Oh. Damn, call him the crepe. Oh.
Lucky Sling.
I don't want to get by this.
Hello, how are you? Hope you've been having a good day here. Can you leave me alone?
Quick spell flinger. Is that the... Wait, what was the one that makes your can... No, I'm thinking of something else. Never mind, I don't know nothing.
It makes my cantrip a bonus action instead of an action.
Oh, okay, that was it. That's what I thought, but I thought...
I don't like you being near me.
Me when I talk to anybody who's ever existed?
It's a woman.
What? Ooh. This one's feeling a little touchy.
Target is out of sight. Everything's out of sight.
Yes. You are on the bitching balcony. Now you must do the bitching. But like,
I can't examine him. What is he?
I can't examine. I said I can't examine. It's not working.
Yeah, but sometimes it works on other people.
Well, it's not. Yeah, I tried to examine everyone. It's not working. Can't examine my
What did we
own
kill?
damn self.
We killed the air elemental.
Yeah.
I get my own.
Yes.
Don't do it. That's my back.
Ay. Dios mio, this guy's a fucker. Damn, Alan, you better come back. I don't want to deal with Isabel when she figures out somehow Perma died. Stop being saved, you freak. I don't like your spine, fucker! Hey.
The spine, fuck. Shut up. Come on, Clank.
Freak killing Shadowheart. Thank God you're stupid. What the hell? Wait. Okay. That's fine.
I'm gonna kick your ass.
You're a little weirdo. Get out of my goddamn dimension right now.
I need healing.
So he's just like gone? He's in a different reality. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Clank?
I didn't know he fought for me. I can't read anything. It's broken.
You can't
I thought he was just,
like I can only examine when it's my turn.
I mean, I'll try. I don't know if I'd tried.
God, can you leave, brother?
Okay, bye. My back is getting weary. My cock is getting tight. I'm sitting here in Baldur traffic, eating Dairy Queen all night. And I'm getting all I want to do. Come on, take a dive, honey, yeah.
Why can't I not?
I don't know.
Why?
I didn't make it.
Stop. Fuck you. I'm leaving. A free slappage?
No surrender.
Get a smacking.
See ya.
Mm.
Oh, I thought the myrmidons would go away. I mean, I thought everything would go away.
Inspiration.
Can I examine now? Nope. Just broken right now. I'm not sure if the planar binding goes away if he gets hit. I don't remember how it works.
Every time it takes damage, it may break the caster's control.
I knew it! I know some stuff.
I'm sorry, Clank.
Short rest, actually.
Fuck. I done diddly missed.
Whoa, Ned Flan? Famous for your world famous flan? I never do this. Oh, planar binding was a concentration, and I'm a fucking idiot. Oh.
Oh.
Stop,
Damn!
man.
You go crazy.
Wish I could element warp. If you could be elemental warping, what element would you want it to be?
Crack.
I want to be like an infamous Second Son when Desmond turns in like turns in like ashes and smoke. Holy shit. When he does his blink. That
We'll fart it.
That shit's cool.
Tactical.
What if he said, "My name Desmond"?
Shut the fuck up.
My name Desmond.
Stop. You're unstable. What the hell the cloud affected by the damn bullet? What the hell? Oh my god! Oh my god!
What the hell, Clank? Thought we were friends.
For a 3. That's so embarrassing.
Heading there.
Well, that's not where I'm meant to go. No, I don't want to lure Air Myrmidon. What is a Myrmidon? I see it in like Fire Emblem stuff, but I don't know what that is. I can just Google it. The internet is incredible. What the fuck is a Myrmidon? Wow, it came up. I did not type it right at all. Okay, but like actually, definition. Define Myrmidon. Follower or subordinate of a powerful person, typically one who is unscrupulous or carries out orders unquestioningly.
Loroakan.
Oh, hey.
You who would see me caged. You who would purchase my submission with profane gold.
She died? Yeah, but she's allowed to cheat.
Every vile murtherer, each slaver.
Whoa, okay, wait. No. This...
Dame Aylin is watching. She is indomitable. And when her face lights the shadows of your wrongdoing, you are broken by its beauty.
Seemed a little extreme. Already had him on the back foot, girl.
I'm at it. Yoink.
I'm gonna short rest. I cannot short rest right now.
The firehead fool is dead. Yet as I stare upon his corpse, I feel sadness.
This girl needs therapy.
Perhaps smiting has lost its pleasures.
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot.
A gripping in the chest, as though I'd lost someone. Something. Paladin's fatigue, no doubt. You were excellent in battle, as is your way.
Thank you. You died in 2
I'm
seconds.
proud to fight at your side.
Is she losing? Is she gonna lose
I will
her
catch
power?
my breath. Then to camp I will bring my bones. Moon Maiden be with you.
Because the whole paladin thing is like, if she is just a paladin, really, you only get your god's power if they're like, if your actions are in line with like the way they act. Like if you're a heroic paladin but you start doing evil things, your god stops helping you. And she's kind of like, you know, just snap the guy's back in half. Just like we already won. I don't know, maybe she literally lost something. Maybe her power's fading because she's a little unstable. No, but she's crazy though.
Well, we got the banana stuff.
Yes. The banana stuff. Yes. 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 Hello, Dame Aylin.
Alright, would you like to talk? Can you move, bitch?
Pardon me, bitch. Could you move? That corpse rag on you, horny. Getting his back snapped by a powerful woman made him hard as shit. And honestly, I can't blame him.
Imagine you raise him up and he's just like folded.
It's like that Tio thing where they animated him to get folded by Vecna. His bones are just doing that.
And then it's the Tio scream.
No, that'd be awesome. Dude, they could slide one of his screams into stuff and not have people even notice. Like when he like actually screams, like he's trying to like act, like it's like the scream he did was like really good.
He put his all into it.
He could be a very passionate actor.
The corpse remains silent. It does not know.
Why are you asking like 80 spell or questions?
The spell's power where?
Was that felt like more than 5 questions.
Yeah.
What next?
Okay, well, we get down there from here.
When?
What? Display cases?
Careful now, Shadow. Careful now. Actually, if
By the
you
dawn.
get in range, I'll just... Oh! I didn't send you the... I forgot to send you the stuff that was on Shadowheart. That's probably why the selling was not as good.
Oh.
Here, I'll do a feather falling whenever you're ready.
There's looting.
What?
I'm looting.
What?
I'm looting.
Okay.
What if the apple said?
I don't really have much to say to that.
What am I to do?
What's the story? This place is hungry for blood.
Weave button.
Was that an
That'll
on
do
or
it.
an off?
I don't know.
Oh, it was an on! Hit the button again, please.
I can't hit it with air, man.
Fuck. What have you done? The balls are pissed off. I should have reloaded so I could examine shit.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
Oh, it wasn't the button. I think I stepped on the security pad. Or Lizelle did.
I can't bonk this chunk?
Really?
Oh, we're fucked. I really thought I could bonk this chunk.
Oh, it's only gonna be that electrical shit.
Not if I have anything to say about it. I can't throw him. Okay, sorry, what was that? That's the butler from Ouija Manch.
That's the butt.
That's my butt when I fart. You're gonna do your turn?
I'm looking around to see if I'm gonna do it. Come on, get him.
A moon to slash in. I probably should have used a scroll. I'm stupid, dude. I'm so silly. Oh, so silly. Pathetic.
Might grab your ass.
Did I say 1,000 XP or did I misread that?
That was
No.
10.
Oh, wow. That's significantly less. Okay, your turn. I don't wanna.
I don't wanna win.
For a lives to be over. Who's that, Shaq? Alright.
That's Eminem.
I love Eminem. I love this song where we go, hello, I am Eminem, and I'm Eminem, at the end, and I got an end in the end, and I got no enemies, and I'm eating the bean. That didn't work, though.
Nice.
Alright.
Nice.
Did you just hit me?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Hey, that be Benny. Is it not? I mean, why is it even a fight? They're not even doing anything.
Incoming.
It just sucks.
Suck.
Your dad sucks. My father just lost an erection. Well, it seems unnecessary.
Worth it.
I mean, they're not fighting back.
I gotta run everywhere. Oh gosh. Hello.
Yeah. They're sleeping. They're weeping.
Where's the other one? Oh.
Surely one of these will do you. Okay, see you. I
don't know why my-
in the middle of the fight. Oh my god.
Air elemental can't hit him.
Get owned.
Covered.
There's probably a trap here, actually. Oh, oh.
Okay. Stand in the middle.
There's a staff down there. There's some armor down there. Some cool looking stuff.
In Diddy Witty.
I love mini wheat cereal. It's the only cereal I'll ever eat. I love miniature weights. Oh my god, they're
many people.
I love the smaller the man, the harder my little man. If you know what I'm referring to, it's my cock. Haha, no, I'm serious though. They make me horny.
Miss Caucus. What the fuck?
Oh, this is. Oops.
Yeah, whatever.
What is this?
Grab his cock.
Oh, shit.
Ha.
Did it not work?
I missed.
Oh. That's funny. Venus, since I came.
I've been pissing.
So annoyed that the clinic didn't call today, man. I've been busy thinking about boys. Boys. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's a 95%.
Just don't roll a
How
one.
you missed that twice? You wait for these idiots.
This is a certified XCOM moment. Yo, what up, man? It's me, Michael.
come.
What?
What? Why is this one invincible?
I don't understand. Why won't you die? These things broken? Are they supposed to be doing something? Tell this magic trick. I'm gonna put this pencil in my nose. Ah! See how it's in my nose now? Whoa. Oh my god.
And your damn turd!
Okay.
I am fury, I am death.
Jimmy on the go.
Ay caramba. Make me use spells, man. Mage hand?
Baka senpai. Don't put your penis in that. Bugga, bugga, bugga. Ew. Don't do
What's your
that.
favorite part about baklava?
I don't know. It's like pretty good, I guess. Tastes good.
Take it.
Okay. That's enough.
What if on one hand you had a bucket? Slap his ass. For fuck's sakes. Why did it work on the first two?
It's a roll thing, I think. So if you keep trying, it'll eventually work. Which I just remembered now. Is how that works. If I could examine it, I probably would have been able to read that and be reminded of that fact.
Gosh.
Clean up.
Huh?
Okay.
I'm gonna refresh or reload or Ain't nobody dope as me. I'm just so fresh and clean. So fresh and so clean, clean.
Clean diaper, clean diaper.
That's not funny.
It's like Teen Titans, you know?
What? In what way?
The thong.
The thong? Like the
Mike Tyson.
The theme song for Teen Titans? They say
Yeah.
clean diaper, clean diaper?
Clean diaper, clean diaper.
That's not how they even say Teen Titans.
Clean diaper.
Stop. Don't
Guess
do
your
that.
shit ain't clean.
Why,
Little poopy.
what's the point of getting a clean diaper if you're just gonna make it dirty again? If it's already dirty, then I'm not making any problems for anyone. I've been using the same diaper for going on 6 months.
Arcana failed. Arcana failed. That's no good.
Well, I'm definitely not gonna hit it. What? Scroll of Otaluke's Freezing Sphere. You can have that.
Oh. What happened?
Where'd you go?
Where am I? What the fuck? Unlocked at the ancient tomb.
I think it's talking
Great
about the
news!
I think it's talking about the Necronomicon?
Where to?
Below.
Below.
Let's hit the cleanup button.
Easy. This place is hungry.
I can get this open. The Red Knight.
I don't.
Before her time as an exarch of Tempest and goddess of strategy, the Red Knight was a paladin most devout. She toured armies the world over
What the fuck is happening?
as both students and teachers, and thus was she elevated by the Tempest to her current status.
Don't burn yourself.
What are you? Shut up.
These pages contain that of her which was left on the material plane after her ascension.
We read the Red Knight's final stratagem. You receive Scroll of Artistry of War. Summon the apparitions of 6 master strategists. Each apparition strikes a target of your choosing, dealing 8 to 18 force damage on a hit. Okay, sure. Thanks.
What?
You can look at it in my... I don't know if you got it too. You can take a seat.
What is it?
I'll put it at the top.
See.
Can you learn it? Well, should we
No,
just save it then?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll send it to you.
Some chests in here, but I don't know if I can grab them. Oh, yeah. Maybe.
I'm down in the damn arcane barrier, but I'm afraid if I touch anything, I'll explode. Also, something keeps blowing up. I don't know what the hell that is.
Damn, it's good to be alive.
Oh, no, I think you activated the cannons with the button, because it says security in front of it. What is happening? Oh, the cloud kill keeps going off. Some of the pits. Keep activating. Perception failed. Okay. I don't like that.
I can't read this, god damn it.
That was not me.
Posted scroll.
I'm just gonna wait for you. I don't know what's happening.
Did you press something?
I pressed several buttons. Why?
Well, I'm just wondering how you got to where you were.
This is the button that said below, and I pressed it, and it took me below.
I mean, there's a portal in the middle of this room. It's through this door.
Hey. Mikey.
Silver hand? Oh. And we got traps. I don't know where the fuck I am.
Maybe I should come in there.
Curious vault. Must be protecting something awfully valuable.
Can you go back up?
Yeah. I was just waiting.
Ah, shit, piss!
I'm gonna hit the cleanup button and hope it turns off the traps. appears to have not done that.
Wait, where's Lizelle? She's still here?
Oh yeah, this one says it takes you to the vaults. This guy can't read. Be warned. One moment. That sounds important. There's lots of flowers to steal. No one's gonna be tending to them. I may as well get some use out of them. Be warned.
Are you just on the outside of the...
Dear staff, following from our meeting, be warned officially never to touch Lorokan's magic buttons within the tower. He alone knows which is where and why, and and any mistake could prove quite deadly. May Vompter rest in peace. Someone got murdered by a button.
Poor Vompter.
Oh, is that Mage Hand making that hell noise? Snakeskin hat? What? Okay. Vompter got his Vomper turd, if you know what I'm saying.
There's a couple chests and stuff down here.
I'm just having a panic attack. Just a little one. I'm gonna weave this button. Fuck you.
You gotta press it with each of them.
Yeah, thanks, Tips.
Thank you. You're so fucking mean!
You just made fun of my panic attack.
I didn't.
So what did you do? Why did it mention the book? Oh no, this is a different book? No. We've accessed the vault on the lower level of the Sorcerer's Sundries, now to find the Tharchiet Codex. What? That's not what I meant to do.
I don't know.
Did you come from the portal, or...?
No, I came from where you got. You started down here.
Madame, it is no secret that yours is the finest collection of records within our fair city. This scroll brings you a query I believe only you can resolve. It has been a long-held bit of lore within my family that we are descendants of Laeral Silverhand.
Will be disintegrated.
Through my mother's line. Though no existing genealogy can confirm our chain, would you be so kind as to investigate the matter? It would mean a great deal to my grandmother, Haverfoss, who is poorly at the minute. The family name is Gradle. Hopefully yours, Amber Layman. Oh no. Okay.
I mean, you could just disable the plates.
Easy. This place is hungry for blood.
Okay, so the doors all say something. How do we know which door to go on?
Karsus? Elements, or... And where does Silverhand lead? Silverhand's the only one with anything on the map. But I wonder if there's stuff in each one? Because there is a room behind it.
Yeah, I was wondering if opening the wrong door gets us plumpied, dumpied, and rumpied. Alright. Wait, don't leave. You, when I have the steeped in bliss, I have an advantage. probably a good time to save.
I mean, everyone has an Arcana roll when going to this door.
Yeah, I say we just hit Silver Hand.
I can't open these anyway without. Oh.
Oh lord.
Got a lot of perception checks. Oh, Jesus. Evocation, illusion, abjuration, transmutation. Transmutation is the one with the waypoint, so. Zell!
What happened?
I don't know. She stepped on the thing. I got the fuck out of there. That just brought me back.
I mean, I think the mini-map is kind of spoiling what's supposed to be a puzzle here. The mini-map is telling us where to go. And I don't think it's supposed to be doing that.
No, it didn't.
No, all 3 doors are exits except one.
Yeah, that just brings me back here.
Oh, okay.
But I think that's a different way in. I think we're supposed to be here, and these doors are vaults to more shit. Because through there, all those doors you can go through.
Nope, I'm in a different room.
Yeah. I think these are just vault doors, or doors you can... There's stuff behind them.
Shadow Demon Wild. Or silver. Oh my god!
Which one did you go in?
Don't follow me. I went in abjuration, I think, or aberration, or whatever it said. But if you come in here, you will be cooked. But there are many things happening.
Oh, you just turn off these. Oh, that just brings me back here. Ew.
Can't read this fucking thing.
I don't know if I want to go in any of these other doors.
I hit a lever, it's glowing. This is fucking weird as. Chat art, I don't know how to get us out of here alive.
That's not good.
Oh, I opened one of the doors.
Hello.
There's a lever that said Takarsis, and I hit it.
Oh, Takarsis Vault.
Is that a ligma? To carse this vault in your mouth? You're old.
The Annals of Karsus.
Anal Karsus. Very nice.
Yummy.
Halberds and longswords. Ooh. Me and Carl, I got the same reaction. We truly are a kindred spirit. We're the Annals of Karsus. Oh, I see what you were saying. So we came in from like a back way.
Yeah.
Foe breaker. This weapon ignores bludgeoning resistance. I'm gonna try this. I know it does less damage overall, but... Oh wait, this also ignores resist. Never mind, okay. You're not on the menu, buddy, sorry. Scroll of Dethrone. Shred a foe's very essence by pulling on strands of the weave.
My weave!
I'll send this to you. Girl, my weave. They tooketh my weaveth. Girl, my weaveth.
My great spell of transcendence is mine alone, not to be committed to ink and parchment, but I have also forged 3 supreme enchanted items that are the physical embodiment of my wizardry, and of them I shall make record. There is a crown, an orb, and a scepter, each nigh alive and with its own power and purpose, and these I call the regalia of Karsus.
I think I saw maybe the... I don't know. I think where I was, I saw something? Not sure
The crown of Karsus to attract and absorb magical knowledge and give the wearer dominion over himself so that he remains his own entity apart from the weave. The Orb of Karsus, a storage device or battery that condenses mystic power over gathering so that it must be siphoned at intervals of its excess. The Scepter of Karsus, an instrument of projection, a focusing utensil for the precise wielding of unimaginable vast forces. Know of these items you must, for if I fail to achieve immortality, they will persist and I dare say live on beyond me.
True. Though it's not that hard to live beyond that guy.
Kind of wonder if he... No, it wasn't. The scepter was what he was holding?
No, that wasn't a scepter, that was a wand. I think I saw the scepter.
It might be in that middle room.
Yeah, I think I saw it. Because there was,
okay,
stuff, there was stuff in like bubbles. If envy is the disease of the artist, hubris is that of the wizard. Though I fear my warning will fall on deaf ears, I will say it again. The closer a wizard creeps to the domain of the divine, the closer oblivion creeps with them. I mean, did he write this shit? You really self-fulfilling prophecy. Got his own ass killed. Thought myself an equal to Mystra and devised a plan to make myself her equal. I would pluck one strand of weave and contain it within an amulet I spent the better portion of my years devising. How regret instantly hewed itself upon my head. I was trapped within the amulet instantaneously and passed around from collector to curio hall for the better part of a millennium. Only now that I am freed with barely the strength to hold my quill, can I leave this final warning as testimony. Oh no, this is... Who wrote that? Someone got put in an amulet? And passed around.
What am I missing?
What do you mean?
How do you open... I'm trying to figure out which way to go to open up Elminster.
I do it. It's easy. Oh my god.
I've been through every single one of these and they just lead back. Except for Wish, I'm stupid.
Same thing on the other side, except it was fire.
Did you do it?
Yeah. So he's at the pull that lever.
See you later, loser.
Oh, I should have.
Elminster Bolt. Display case, you motherfucker. I don't got another one of those spells. You're gonna have to unlock this one.
What am I unlocking?
There's a... for the book.
Where's the codex? Do I have the key for this? Nay.
Purple hat!
Almost.
Ooh, 20? Finally, a worthy foe. You lost. Now give me the goods.
Give me the good old book.
Yeah, I don't want to touch this. This is a demon book, to be sure.
Oh, yes. The Necromancy of Fae.
Whoa,
There are secrets of life and death known only to the Red Wizards. Committing such secrets to parchment is a risk they are loath to take, lest the unworthy gaze upon them, who better than to guard their secrets than the spirits of jealous dead themselves. To look upon the Necromancy of Fae is to risk madness at the hands of its spirits. But the wise traveler who can tread the line between life and death will find knowledge witnessed by precious few mortals.
I hate mortals. There's some saucy smells in this little chest. Oh no.
What the fuck?
Your constitution score is reduced by 5 while cursed by the Tharchiant Codex Warps Arcana. Open this chest. There's some spicers in it.
Delicious. So what happens? Can I... The fuck?
I think it's just having the book on you makes you weaker.
The book radiates power, but the words you read in the codex echo in your mind, guiding your eyes safely across the page. The once indecipherable glyphs now feel dangerously familiar, promising unholy power to those who can take it.
Oh, fuck. Wait, I have disadvantage because I'm steeped in bliss?
Yeah, it's a physical thing, I guess. Don't you have a disadvantage because of the physical stuff? Or on physical stuff? Is that what it does?
So I don't want it on me, right?
Yeah, because I think... I don't remember how it works. I don't know. I mean, we could just throw it on the floor and then go to the other side of the room. It should be fine.
What does disadvantage do?
It's like
oh,
advantage.
use the lowest roll.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Every time I open my inventory, my guy shakes his ass.
Oh, my guy shaked her ass. Get on it, Karlach.
If you throw this, I'm a weak bitch. Okay. This is gonna be a hard roll. I got a +5.
The book radiates power, but the words you read in the codex echo in your mind, guiding your eye. Once indecipherable glyphs now feel dangerously familiar, promising unholy power to those who can take it. As you pass the strange glyphs, you can feel the book resisting. Ghostly voices whisper at you from the dark, probing and
I feel like this isn't gonna help with the losing your sanity thing, but you know.
Iron, and you brush past
my will is iron.
Past, devouring every secret the book has to offer.
Are you gonna be like a god magician now?
Life and death are malleable as clay.
No, you'll probably still get killed in one day.
Reshaped by your will, by your power. But as you close the book, a nagging doubt whispers in your mind. What consequences will there be for calling the dead from their rest?
Personally, I would have thought about the consequences before I opened the book, but this guy's a freak.
Shall I bring them out?
Who? The hell is Volo?
I got a spell called Dance Macabre. Macabre?
Macabre.
Why the hell is there an R?
I don't know, I didn't make the damn word.
What the fuck? You want to save and see what it did?
We can wait till we get in a fight. I'm sure it won't take all that long. I'm sure nothing bad will happen later for opening the Necronomicon Book of the Damned Dead.
We already beat up the man who's god of dead, so how bad could it be?
Who the hell is Volo?
What do we have here?
Storage
Should I know who
and
that
sorting
is?
of scrollwork, parchment, and tomes.
Apparently, on our main quest, gather your allies. We have Isabel, Dame, Aelin, Arabella, and someone named Volo has become a most loyal ally. His powerful words of encouragement are sure to be at our backs in the trials to come.
Was it the guy that took your eye?
He didn't take it. he accidentally removed it. Maybe?
Oh, this is awkward.
Why is it so gray out there?
Because we're secretly in here.
Oh. Well,
Why, hello, lover.
Shadowheart, I can't find you incredibly attractive right now. Oh wait, there's a key right on the table. Oh, okay, wasn't for that.
Hmm.
Run away. Alright. And I will pick the lock. Brit.
We're going right back upstairs anyway. Let's just be fast. Bruh.
Come on. Come on.
Yes.
Haha, just kidding. Okay.
Shit.
He was mad.
You've set foot in a restricted area.
Where?
Exit may be in order.
Trying to buy your way in.
Try to convince him.
This isn't me. I got out.
What the hell? Oh no. Why you looking at me like I live here?
Shouldn't he like fall apart?
Come on, buddy. Oh damn! Yes!
Oh my god!
You managed to talk your way.
Oh. I'm going back up.
Alright.
Oh, I could go for a good meal.
Goddamn.
Okay,
Same.
so how do we get into the middle?
I was already down there. This is the button. Okay, I should not have jumped into the cloud kill. So true.
Oh, the one going lower was just down there. Okay.
Yeah.
What the fuck? No, jump down, bitch.
Careful, the cloud killer's around. Don't be dumb like me and walk into it.
Thank you.
Hopefully you make the checks down there, because there were a few of them.
Oh shit. Wait, can you come back up?
Yes.
There's no time to waste.
Just throw guidance on me first.
Above.
Above!
Need to keep going.
Which button was it? Oh.
Below.
Just kind of move around, see if any... Oh?
Don't be shy.
Why aren't they... Okay, don't know what happened.
Shit.
Well,
that was the only roll I got. I'm guessing it's one or the other.
Oh, you probably want the staff then. You just got new clothes. Skirt.
Clunk. Okay.
I've made a mistake.
Oh no, I've made a mistake. Oh, you definitely have made a mistake. This is an easy roll for me.
We take these.
Oh my god, I had to get a
not
20.
Take these.
Oh, that was easy. Alright, let me get this. Easy 20! Let us go.
Finally, I'm not the one doing all the work.
What the fuck? Robe of the Weave. My weave!
Stop. My weave, it's inconsolable.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, you did just vibrate when I opened the inventory. Holy shit, Marco Heskir. Oh my god.
The next spell I cast doesn't... Oh my god, what a...
Oh my god.
Oh my...
Oh my god.
Jeez, who is it?
Oh.
What's the shirt do?
I think that's just straight beef. Those books sell for 2,000 each.
Oh.
Damn, man, you look monketh. Alright.
Now we're sick as fuck. Finally, some good eats.
Can I have a legendary weapon, please?
Now let's summon my boys.
I got blue hammer.
I can summon 5 of them.
William is ascended to Archmage status. It's pretty cool. I think we're about done in this hellhole.
There's nothing in this display case.
Was there another one?
All right.
No.
Well then, what the hell?
Oh, sick chips, big nips. How'd you get out?
Oh,
you're still
the same way. Well, we can jump. I hopped at the window before. There might be a way out there. Or we could just jump back up, I guess. Though the cloud kill's kind of in the way. Oh, there's an artillery button.
Artillery.
I'm not going to hit that. That sounds like it could cause problems.
The fuck?
Oh, being on this tower's edge is making me, you know.
Oh, I'm edging.
It's freaking me out.
I don't get it in game. If I ever watched like the video of me jumping from a plane, I get it.
Well, that's fair. God, when I look over this edge, I'm like, oh.
What the fuck?
Oh, he's watering.
Oh, he's always watering. That was another one.
Oh, happy an apple, yummers. Alright, no way out. I think we'll just have to jump back up.
Security.
Security and dignity.
Well then. Shadowheart's not making the jump, eh? I guess it doesn't matter.
She sort of hates jumping. Guess we just fast travel.
Yeah.
Karlach incoming.
What if I leave me down here? Lizelle, you do the jumping.
Let your knowledge.
It's okay. Take a little damage.
What's happening? I'm talking to the lava elemental.
The lava elemental looks at you placidly. For the first time since you've had your infernal heat, you've met something even hotter than you.
Agree to disagree. Want a hug?
The elemental stares back. It
Want a
is
bug?
an invitation.
I'll keep my distance, happy blazing.
You sense an unfathomable depth.
How does the
shifting crevices of
how does the projection stay?
pleasant heat passes
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I was wondering. Oh. What's up,
Hello.
water fella?
Water elemental appears to turn
Okay.
towards
No, nothing.
you, showering everything with a bracing mist.
Alright. What's up, other Clank? Okay. Wow. What a time we had in there. That took up the entire Baldur's Gate segment. That's crazy. That's just like that. This game's fucking crazy. My spine.
It was definitely worth it.
Yeah. Hopefully you're gonna be a kind of a little freak now. Oh, there's a jump here on me. No, you're just a hopper.
You're just a big talker. Alright, well, we'll save these books in case they're used for something, or we just sell them eventually.
We'll save. Maybe I should be naming these saves for my future self. Let me do after Wizard's Tower or something more descriptive.
Hello, boys.
Oh. God, I hope they all start dancing in sync.
Backstreet, no.
You should they should make it so if you are a proficient bard and you do the whole Necronomicon quest and you play your lute, they all start dancing in sync. Because it's honestly kind of fucked up if that isn't in the game.
Kind of. Big wackus.
I might... I don't know what I'm gonna do. This is what I was worried about with the stream time. It's like, now I need to eat dinner, but like I also want to stream, so I don't know what to fucking do, man. Ugh, they're so freaky.
Let's go, boys. We're running.
No one's perturbed by this.
Me and my boys just out on a stroll.
No one's like, hey, maybe this is just the weird, okay. What is it? I'll show you some real magic.
Yes.
What? It's funny. Hey, yeah.
What's with their pictures? Why are they holding their hand over their heads?
This game's funny. Save. Just kidding. Just kidding. I do not save it. It is bad for us to crush the human. I don't know what to fucking do.
I mean, you could just go eat and go live again later. Or eat on stream.
No.
It's just a bit of chewing time with your boys.
Yeah, it's the worst time to have. Actually, I don't mind the sound of people eating, but I know people very much so do.
Oh, just mute your mic and then watch something. I don't know.
I don't want to do that. What am I, fucking a shitter top tier streamer?
Yes.
What, you guys don't like watching me eat my lunch and stare at someone else's video and add nothing of value to it?
I mean, it's just like 10-15 minute break.
You're 10.
Wrong.
You're old. You're raisin.
Oh. Oh.
I don't know. I hate living.
I gotta go make dinner.
Prove it. What are you making? Snakes?
Macaroni.
Snake surprise?
Macaroodles.
Hello, snake surprise. If you think about it, Paschetti is just a snake.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Well.
Alright, I'm gonna call it. I might come on for a later stream, but I don't know. I had a really bad day. Oh, I've been having a really bad set of weeks. I don't know right now. I'm not doing well, honestly. So, I might just sleep. I'm just playing it all by ear right now. Thank you for watching. Hope Baldur's Gate's been enjoyable. I'm having a wonderful time with it. It's an amazing game. Deserves every little incremental bit of love it has ever received. And I never want to meet the type of person who doesn't like this game. Because what the fuck could they be like? I mean, ew, right? Like, ew? What the fuck? Yeah, I don't know. The stream time might change again. There's a synthetic 2? Oh. I gotta play a synthetic 1 more. I mean, I say like I'm gonna get a chance. Too many games. I don't know. I'm kind of like. Oh, Deep Rock Galactic Survivors though. What? Shit, dude. Too many games. I don't know. I'm kind of like really into the idea of moving out and being able to like be alone all the time because people are exhausting and don't like me and treat me like shit. And just be disconnected from it all. I don't know. It's so stressful. But I also can't afford to do that yet. But I'm working. That's kind of my goal. I set some years for this goal. Goal for this year. So hopefully try to figure some stuff out. But it's all incremental, all very slow progress. Yeah, I might come on for a Warframe stream because I did a bunch of. I have well, I mean, I'll talk about what I got off on stream on the Warframe stream, but I need to eat. I have not eaten much today. I am hungry. Thanks for being here. Have a good evening. I'll catch you tomorrow or later tonight. We'll see.